Greetings and welcome to another excellent Xbox video. Now, the thing that's crazy is that this is the 1st of October and the stupidity of whoever's in charge of Xbox has reached epic proportions. I saw many different videos talking about the rise in pricing for the Game Pass. Now, I figured, you know what? I should jump in on this and, let you know my thoughts on Game Pass as it, goes on, pro and con. It's just too enticing not to explain. So they raised the prices for the Ultimate, I guess is what it was. The Ultimate went up to it's now $29.99. We're just going to call it $30. I'm not going to say that stuff every time. But I have never been a big proponent of Game Pass, and I'll tell you why. Now, there's clearly it's a chocolate and vanilla situation. It's chocolate for some, vanilla for others. And when I explain to you why I have not been personally a big user of Game Pass, it's still, fine to have it. There's nothing wrong with having it. It's one of those things, it fits a need for certain players and not for other players. Now, for myself, the reason I'm not into Game Pass is that you're just renting. All right? It's a constant, it's a never-ending, well, figuratively speaking, it's an unending rental. Okay? As a game player who's played Atari games since the late 70s, you get a great game for yourself, whatever that game would be. You have to buy that. You have to own that because you want to have universal use of this product, which means something different today than it does back then. We never even thought of the concept of universal use. There was no rental of Atari games, okay? And this is going to be the oldest big console was the Atari in the late 70s. There was an awesome game that came out, well, you bought it. That was just that simple. Now, I didn't get my personal console until 1980. But one of my friends had it, and we would go to his house and play it. Man, when we were over there, it was like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of just bashing, multiplayer, awesome stuff. And when you had it, certain games were better than others, and there were games that came out that once you played them, you're like, well, I'll tell you one of the ones that comes to mind. We played Atari bowling, and my friend was like, "You want to play bowling?" I'm like, okay. Bowling wasn't a great, to me, seeming video game. That game was awesome, man. It was hardcore, cutthroat. Miss. Oh, so it was, the whole combat between the players made it way better. You wanted your opponent, we wouldn't do anything to, not that we were gentlemen, which we were, but we didn't mess with the guy when he's doing his thing. Like, when you're bowling, we didn't mess with the guy physically. That's just crossing the line. But there's nothing wrong with going miss, body English, trying to lean it, whatever. So that was fine. Because the other reason is, the reason why I say we weren't necessarily gentlemen, even though we kind of were, is that we just assumed that if you mess with your friend when he's doing his thing, that you're going to get punched in the face. It'll do that to you. It'll make you behave like a gentleman. That's what the punch in the face will do. So that was the deal. But the idea of renting a game is not a good idea in general. Now, for some people, it is a good idea. For example, one of my friends, I'm not going to divulge any information about them specifically, but when you have several kids at home. A Game Pass is a tremendous item because now if you have, say, 3 kids, you have a chocolate, a vanilla, and a strawberry, and they want to play different games. Gaming can be tremendously expensive. So if you have, and I was just saying 3 kids, but say mom and dad, you got 5 different players, big difference. So Game Pass is tremendous when you have a bunch of people. But if it's your machine or my machine, I play my stuff, and my son has one for himself. He plays his own stuff. So we don't really, use Game Pass. We're experienced gamers, and we know what we like. We get what we want, and go from there. In fact, I have a great one I'm going to show you. All right. This is a special example. This is the Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and this is the physical game. Now, you could buy it on download from Xbox, but I went out and I called around different GameStops. Now, I live near a big city, so we have a lot of GameStops. I probably called 5 or 6 different ones before I found one final copy, and it was like I got the, called the store, talked to the guy. Hey, do you have Shredder's Revenge for Xbox? He goes, well, yeah, we do, but it's an open, box. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude, I don't care. As long as there's nothing wrong with it, why would I care? Some people are weird that way. So I got it, open box, etc., etc. Here is the interior. Well, okay, let's do this the right way. Well, I can see this correctly. All right. So, as you can see, this is the interior of the game. It also comes with stickers. That really wasn't the reason I got it, all the stickers or whatever. It's just that I have this game and I can play it on Xbox whenever. I didn't want to have just a digital download, blah, 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 because this game looks fantastic. Now, there's some other games that are like that are super expensive, hard to get. Another one that I do have that I got from the download was Xenocrisis, which is a fantastic game. But again, the Game Pass has its advantages to some, not so much for others. I would prefer to own the super games that I have, and I have a bunch more besides this, because I just like owning the games versus, now sometimes you can get, games on download for dirt cheap, like Xenocrisis. If you want to get the actual disc of that, it's kind of expensive. So, in some cases, they aren't even available. Xenocrisis they made for several different consoles, and it's like super duper ultra expensive on like Sega Genesis. Okay, it's available, but yeah, I ain't buying that. It's too expensive. I got it for Xbox. It's just for playing versus owning it. Now, same thing for, Game Pass. It's great for some people, but not for me. I know what I want. I don't need a massive access. I don't play some of these kids games, obviously, like Fortnite or Minecraft. Those don't do anything for me. Roblox, Rocket League. I don't play any of those games. Don't play any of the sports games. I play different things, and the kind of games I play are ones I will play and then play repeatedly versus, the bubblegum game. It's like, open the bubblegum, and then 5 minutes later, you spit it out, all right? I don't play Minecraft. Minecraft's not necessarily like that. Fortnite is kind of like that to a degree. But the mistake that they made was just super hilarious. It was like they behaved exactly like any other typical gaming jerk executive behaves. Hey, starting October 1st, we're going to jack up the price of Game Pass. And it's going to go from, I think it was $15 for what is known as the day one accessibility to play. Brand new games comes out, bam, it's on Game Pass. To me, that's a stupidity move right from the get-go, but it's one of those things that probably it started somewhere, and then everyone becomes, they're all drug in to the same behavior. As soon as one guy says, well, okay, if it was Sony or Xbox, well, we're going to have the brand new game of fill in the blank. Well, let's use one that's upcoming. Grand Theft Auto 6. When Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out first day, you play it on Game Pass, well, then that's going to be the industry standard, okay? But it's really not a good idea in general. So, but they have now changed that to where you still have that day one access, and I'm saying figuratively for Grand Theft Auto 6 because that game has not come out yet as we speak, that it's a big drawing card. They have another one on the new increased prices that there's the basic membership, a middle tier, and then the ultimate is the day one access. The middle tier is like sometime, I saw the announcement was like sometime within 1 year of release of said new game, Grand Theft Auto 6, you'll be able to play it. And it could vary from game to game. I don't know that there's any specific identified time window, what have you. But for some people, that's really going to be bogus. All right? And like idiots, they didn't explain this to you. They behaved, what I say is like an authoritarian narcissist. Hey, we're going to have this new Game Pass, and you can play this game brand new on day one. That's going to cost you $30. End of story. It wasn't like we've changed our Game Pass. We have our bottom tier, mid tier, and then premium tier, and explain to people, hey, well, $30 for the, top level, what have you. And that will give you day one access and potentially down the road, future download content. Okay? Whoever did this completely missed the boat. And it's referred to as market positioning. You want to inform your customer or your potential customer of the benefits of whatever, scenario you have. Having 3 different tiers of participation. Cheapo, medium, and expensive, okay? And tell people, hey, the expensive one gives you X, Y, and Z, whatever. Instead of just saying, here, eat this for $30. Okay, so what did you expect? What happens is that, and this is, it's like these people, it's like they go to idiot university. It's like, where did you graduate? I graduated top of my class from idiot university. What do they teach you at idiot university? Well, they taught us how to be idiots. Okay? So, it never occurred to these people. You're going to make people mad. Now, you're always going to make people mad when you change something. It doesn't matter. The thing you have to recognize is that you're going to make idiots mad no matter what you do. So throw that out the window. The only thing that should drive your behavior is the satisfaction of legitimate customers. All right? Not freeloaders, but legitimate customers. And it's like, okay, so we're going to have 3 different tiers of, participation. And they're going to cost you what? It's like $10, $15, and $30, okay, for the different participations. But no, these guys are idiots because they just said, here, eat this for $30, right? And it makes people mad. And what happens when people get mad? Legitimate customers, when they're mad, they go, goodbye. And so one of the things I saw was real hilarious. Tyrone had a video, and his title was awesome. It was, The cancel subscription page on Xbox froze and it crashed because they made so many people mad who have paid for Game Pass. They are dumping Game Pass in numbers that were unforeseen. Okay, because, well, they were unforeseen because they all graduated from Idiot University. Anyone from the real world could have said, bro, you're going to make a lot of your legit customers mad. And what do you think they're going to do? The difference is, when I went to college, university, I had professors that were smart. And they all had access or outer what you call it, extracurricular job experience, okay? I had a physics professor who worked at NASA. I had my chemistry professor had a PhD in law. One of the smartest people that I've ever known in my life. And it was like, he was a great chemistry professor, but my dad was like, he's a doctor. I go, yeah, I just assumed he was a doctor of chemistry. He goes, no, he's a doctor of law. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Talk about something that's completely separate. So this is the thing. I went to school with professors who were just fantastic at their job. And they all had ties to the real world. They weren't living in fantasy world like the idiots where these guys went to school. Because they went to Idiot University and they didn't teach them how to handle business like a professional, okay? These guys are just jerks. And that's the problem. The Xbox bosses, whoever's in charge, they're jerks. This problem exists because they're jerks. It's okay. You live and learn. Well, we live and learn. The graduates from Idiot University, not so much. Because you've seen in the gaming world, if you paid attention, there have been just a never-ending sequence of imbeciles. Horrible games, horrible companies dealing with customers. Top of the list today would be Xbox Game Pass. Morons were in control. Just absolute morons. And like I said, that one of the early lessons you learn in a business class is how to appeal to legitimate customers. Because the whole backbone of whatever business you're in is the legitimate customers. The customers who bought Game Pass and like, hey, my whole family uses it, XYZ, whatever, fantastic stuff, okay? Now, I myself, like this shows you, I'm not a typical Game Pass customer, so I just don't buy it. I just buy the games individually that I want. Sometimes I would download it from the store, like Xenocrisis. Other times, I went and got the physical disc of Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Fantastic game. So there's all different kinds of customers, and they're all going to want something different. And I'm talking about legitimate customers again. I'm not talking about freeloaders. Only an imbecile seeks to appease the freeloader. The freeloader is a freeloader, and he has an insatiable appetite for freebies. I like freebies myself, okay? We're all, tempted by freebies, right? But as someone who pays attention, what's legit and not legit. So I'm a legitimate customer, so this Game Pass thing doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me, one way or the other. I just thought I would give you my experience and my perspective of being a legitimate customer who buys actual games for himself versus a never-ending, figuratively never-ending rental. Because now in some cases, it's great to rent a game. Like we used to do in Blockbuster 20 years ago. We would rent a game. Oh, I haven't seen that game. Okay, let's now. Granted, we didn't have the download store, etc. for Xbox. But just giving the general idea, it's like a game comes out, like, well, I don't know, man. That game looks pretty good. But back in, in Nintendo 64, those games brand new were like $60 or $70. It was like, maybe we better rent this first. And my kids would be like, yeah, let's rent it. They don't care. They're not paying. So we would sometimes rent a game and go, man, this game's awesome. We have to buy it. Because sometimes it's like, you know, you're on the fence, and it could be good or it could be bad. For you, not saying it's a bad product. It's just that it appeals to you or it doesn't. So that's really what it is. So it's really funny. I'm watching this, and I'm sure we're all going to be watching this off and on YouTube to see the idiocy of Microsoft. Because let me tell you this, it's 99% that the idiocy is not stopping. Today it's going to continue. That's just how they behave. These people, they went to idiot university, and they're going to try idiot plan number 2, then idiot plan number 3. Who knows how long it goes, but it could be quite entertaining. So just wanted to give you perhaps a fresh perspective on what the idiots were doing at Microsoft, because they're stupid. And don't worry. Don't think that I don't, notice the idiocy of Sony. They have their own idiocy and of course the excellence as well. Okay. I mean, Sony has excellent stuff that they do and stupidity. Xbox has excellence that they do and stupidity. Nintendo has excellence and stupidity. Okay. So, Microsoft is not alone. They're just king of the hill today. All right. We'll see what goes on. So I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to get the glare off. There you go. So you can see that Shredder's Revenge. Man, this is a beautiful game. You can go check it out in the store yourself and see what it is, what it looks like, how the animation is. It's tremendous. So see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, like and subscribe.